Welcome everybody. Today we are going to be making a tic-tac-toe game, and you can play this game with 2 players, and this will be the final video that puts together much of what we've learned throughout this course. So specifically what we'll be building on today, we're going to be learning about ternary conditionals as well as 2D arrays and enums, so enumerical types. So we're going to use all that to build us a tic-tac-toe game. And as you can see right here, it's going to just ask players for the position that they want to place their specific letters. Going to put it on a board, print it out the screen, and we're going to tell the player if they won or lost. Pretty cool. So let's get started with what we need to build this. We're going to begin by learning about the ternary operator, and that's just kind of a fancy phrase for an if statement. So this is not the tic-tac-toe program right here. This is just me explaining ternary operators. If you want to jump straight to that tic-tac-toe game, you can jump to the next video where I begin talking about the code there. So with ternary operators, basically it's just a fancy term for just a quick if statement. So as you see here, I have an if statement that's just going to print out odd or even. As you can see, we're going to initialize x to 1, and then we just have a string that says odd or even, and then we're going to go from 1 to 10. We're going to find if this is an even number by using this modulus here and seeing if that ends up with a 0. If it does, we'll assign it to even. If it does not, we'll assign it to odd, and then we just print it out. So I'm going to run this here real quick for you so you can just see what this program does. And very simply just prints out the number, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. So nothing too exciting, but that's really not the point. What we're going to do here is take this if-else statement and we're going to condense it to something much easier to read. This is something that I use a lot in my programming. So the ternary operator, it's built up with a few things. So there is the if statement. So that's basically the same thing where you said if, and then we did that modulus. So there's the if statement, then there's going to be a question mark, and then this is going to return something. So we're going to say something 1, and then there's a colon to separate that from something 2, and then you'll always end it with a semicolon. So this is the makeup of a ternary conditional here. So we have that if statement, and this question mark kind of indicates that what's in those brackets is an if statement. And then if this if statement is true, it returns something 1. If it is false, it will return something 2. So to apply that to the code that we already have here, we're going to say odd or even is equal to x modulus 2 equals 0, question mark. So we're saying if x modulus 2 equals 0, we want to set odd or even equal to even. Else, we're going to set it to odd. And that's it. So we have just written in this one line what it took 6 or 7 lines to write before. So it looks much cleaner. As you're reading through this, you'll become much more familiar with this type of conditional, this ternary conditional, and you'll see this and you'll just know right away it's A or B, signing it true or false. So let's run this one more time so you can see. And we got the same thing, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even. So there's ternary conditionals. Good job. Alright, so 2D arrays now. We've studied arrays in past lessons, and if you don't remember, we're just going to quickly cover it again. So we have set an array of characters here, and we're just going to put different characters in each space. We're just going to put A, B, C, D, E, and what I'm doing is I'm just iterating through the array here, and in each position from 0 through 4, I'm just going to set that letter and then increase that letter by 1. When I hit this plus plus, the first time it'll make A a B, the second time it'll make it a C, D, E. So we're just going to place all these letters inside of our array, and then we're just going to print it out to screen so you can again just see, normal use of an array. So let's go ahead and build and run this so you get an idea of what our structure looks like. Alright, so with our output here, you can see we just have A, B, C, D, E. So that's all our array is, just very simple, holding 5 letters. Now imagine we can take that array and we can make it two-dimensional. So right there you just saw it was going from, horizontally, just left to right. We could also make our arrays two-dimensional, so we can make them go up and down. This is actually how we're going to build our tic-tac-toe board. We're going to have a 3x3 game board that people can put in their X's and O's. So you'll find 2D arrays a lot in programming. Just it's a good way to house information. You'll see it a lot maybe in JSON when you're sending and receiving stuff from websites through API calls, stuff like that. But in C++, how we denote a 2D array is by adding another bracket. So here we have an array, and we need to size it as well. We'll have an array that is 3 rows by 5 rows. So row dominant, let me just write that here so you can see, row column. So this is going to be 3 rows high, so you could think if it were a building, it would be 3 stories high, and it would be 5 wide. So that's what we're looking at here. And if we're going to fill our loop just like we did, the same way, we're going to need to actually use a nested for loop inside of our original for loop in order to both set these letters as well as print them. So I will copy and paste this here. Alright, and so it's row dominant, that comes first. So our I loop, our outer loop, we want to set that to only go to 3. And then our column, that is going to go still to 5. So now what's going to happen is it's going to start on row 0, 0, and it's going to place the letter A, and then it's going to go across all the way to E again. So let me just kind of draw this out so you can see it. Alright, so this is going to be our outcome here after everything's said and done. So it's just going to cycle through. It's going to start at 0 row, so that's going to start at 0, and 0 column, so that's going to start here, and it's going to go all the way to the end. And then once it hits the end, it's going to increase I by 1. We actually need to set this to J, set it to something else. And it's going to increase I by 1, then it'll follow itself to the next row. Do the same thing, go all the way across in this inner loop. And then it's going to increment finally to 2, and then finish off by filling out that final row. So let's go ahead and adjust our print statement accordingly as well. And at the end of each line, we'll just make sure that we have a new line. So we just want it to say of each row, and then this is going to be like hitting enter, and then it'll go to the next row. There we go. And now, just as I said, A, B, C, D, E, new line, F, G, H, I, J, new line, K, L, M, N, O. Perfect. And so that's 2D arrays. So arrays, you don't have to just stop at 2D arrays. You can make 3D arrays, 4D arrays. You can keep going. There's really no limit, I believe, to how many dimensions you can create, but obviously you're going to create headaches for yourself if you have an 11-dimension array and the human mind can't even wrap itself around that, what 11 dimensions look like. Most times we just try to keep it easy. At most I've only ever seen 2D or 3D arrays. That's the most likely that you'll ever see, at the most. Alright, so now we're going to talk about enums, and then we'll jump into making our tic-tac-toe board. Alright, and so finally we have enums. Enum is short for enumeration. Basically what an enum is it is a list of, in human terms they would just be words. So you can put words here. Right here I've listed just the days of the week, and what it does is it essentially enumerates them. So we'll have 0, 1, 2, all the way down to Saturday, which would be 6. So you can also assign these, your own special numbers if you want. This can be 10. It can be any integer that you want it to be. But basically enums are just ways that we can easily cycle through a switch statement, categorize a bunch of errors, stuff like that. We can just make a list, like say this was a list of errors, and then if we got error 2, we could just return 2 and we could print out what error that was. That's a good example of what enums would be used for. So using our above example, I have just created a quick for loop that is going to go through our list here, and it's going to see, if it's the regular American work week, if it's a Saturday or Sunday, we're going to play. Any other day, we're going to have to work. So it's going to cycle through the list, and it's going to just say, take I, so I is going to start at 0. We're going to cast I to be a days right here. So we're taking I, which is going to be a 0, we're going to cast it to a specific enum 0. So that's going to be starting on Sunday. So it's going to come in here, going to come into our if statement. It's going to say, is day equal to Saturday? It's not, because it's Sunday. And so since it's Sunday, it's going to return this true, and it's going to print that out. And we're going to do that for every day of the week. So let me go ahead and run this for you just so you can get a quick idea of what this will do. Alright, and as you see, it went down the list here. Sunday, play, work, 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 play. So that's enums, and this is what we will use to output what happened with our tic-tac-toe. Since this outputs numbers, this is just an easy way to make decisions off of those numbers, either with a switch statement or if statements. For deeper learning on C++, visit us at MakeThingsWithCPP.com and be sure to like and subscribe.